Hi, I'm Dave Marver, CEO of ONWARD Medical. It's a pleasure to be with you today. It's our third appearance here at the SCI Symposium. We actually just did our first quarter earnings call, so I'm going to borrow from that deck. Provides a really good overview of where we are as a company. So let's get started, shall we? Here's the requisite forward-looking statements slide. And now let's just start with a broad company overview. So ONWARD is pioneering therapies to restore movement, function, and independence in people with spinal cord injury and other movement disabilities. We're doing that with three purpose-designed neuromodulation platforms: ARC-EX, ARC-IM, and ARC-BCI. ARC-EX stimulates the spinal cord externally through the skin. ARC-IM is a fully implanted platform. And ARC-BCI, actually, we take ARC-IM and combine it with an implanted brain-computer interface to restore thought-driven movement after paralysis. You all know already SCI is a big problem. 9 million people worldwide. It's a huge and expensive unmet need. The TAM is also therefore large. We think it's about $17 billion. And we're attacking this with innovation. We have 10 FDA Breakthrough Device Designation Awards, and already over 150 issued patents, nearly 300 if you count country nationalizations. In terms of stage, we're already commercial. We launched our first technology, the ARC-EX, in the United States, and we have a very rich pipeline behind that. The first indication for ARC-IM, we expect to start our global pivotal study, phase 3, to some of you, this summer actually, and a lot going on behind that. Some of the highlights from the most recent quarter: very strong early traction commercially and really strong demand indicators. So we met our Q1 objectives for this initial phase of launch. It's a limited launch in the United States. We trained and deployed our initial field organization. We established a sales and service process. We built a roster of reference clinics, and we sold 10 units, which was our objective. From a technology standpoint, we announced the fourth and fifth successful implant of our brain-computer interface system to restore thought-driven movement after paralysis. We also announced the first in-human use of our ARC-IM lead, our lumbar lead, which is designed to help restore mobility. From a science perspective, the Pathfinder 2 study results were published in Neuromodulation Technology at the Neural Interface, showing that sustained access to ARC-EX therapy can continue to drive functional improvements. Participants continue to make gains after 1 year of treatment. And from a financial perspective, we established a sponsored level 1 ADR in the United States to facilitate US investor trading in ONWARD shares. All right. Now let's focus on the ARC-EX launch, which is foremost in most of your minds. First, starting with the demand indicators, which are very, very strong. So already we've collected over 3,000 inbound leads, 2,100 of which come from the US, 300 of which come from US rehabilitation clinics alone. So a lot of interest in this new technology. And the social media posts from the US clinics that have either bought it or trialed it has been very positive. There's a lot of enthusiasm for this first ever therapy demonstrated to restore hand strength and sensation after spinal cord injury. You have posts here from Michigan, Washington State, Illinois, New York State, a lot of enthusiasm in the community. And this is our launch phasing. So building on that strong initial demand, Q1 was what we called phase 0. We wanted to deploy up to 10 units in clinics, learn from those deployments. How do we train? How do we get our reps up and running and so forth? How is this therapy introduced into care pathways? In the first half, we want to sell up to 30 units. We're well on track to doing that. And then we want to broaden our approach in the second half, filing a 510(k) to get home use authorization so we can sell this not only in rehabilitation clinics, but also for use in homes, and also pursuing CE mark authorization so we can begin to sell ARC-EX in Europe. So very big year, off to a good start. Beyond ARC-EX launch, let's go into detail on some of the things that I mentioned earlier. First, the Pathfinder 2 study. So in our pivotal study called Uplift, the participants had exposure to ARC-EX therapy for 2 months. Here in Pathfinder, they had exposure to ARC-EX therapy for more than a year. And so this shows the importance of sustained access to ARC-EX therapy. Multi-center trial, 10 patients with chronic SCI, 120 therapy sessions, activities-based therapy combined with ARC-EX therapy. Takeaway, significant functional improvement after 1 year of ARC-EX therapy. Improvements were observed throughout the 1 year treatment period with no plateau. 3 individuals improved their AIS classification, for example, from Asia B to Asia C, and 1 individual switched from a complete to an incomplete injury. So very pleased with those results. Also, we announced additional BCI implants. We feel we're really in the lead here. We're not implanting brain recorders to control computers or play games on computers. We're using a BCI to enable thought-driven movement after paralysis. So we did 2 additional BCI implants for 2 different indications, 1 to restore upper limb movement, 1 for lower limb movement. We're also planning additional implants of this platform in the future for stroke, grant-funded, and we're advancing the technology that we have in-house now that we exclusively licensed from a biomedical research in France last year, and we're getting very good feedback from neurosurgeons on this. Also, in the recent quarter, we had excellent media coverage in the US. So 60 Minutes with Anderson Cooper did a 13-minute segment on ONWARD and our research initiatives in the brain-computer interface realm. They also did a separate 60 Minutes overtime segment focusing on our work in other areas that are quite important to people with SCI, blood pressure instability, bladder function, and so forth. We're really pleased that Anderson and his producers chose to shine a light on some of these things that are not well appreciated by the public, but are very important in the SCI community. Also, we were named in the Fast Company issue 2025 World-Changing Ideas. We do hope we can change the world, certainly for people with paralysis. We also added this sponsored level 1 ADR. So this enhances US investor access, hopefully broadens our shareholder base, and increases our stock liquidity. Adds a lot of convenience for US investors. They can trade in ONWARD using US dollars. They don't have to open a foreign brokerage account. Certainly, it's our intention to come to NASDAQ eventually, hopefully sooner than later, if market conditions allow and we have sufficient size. But in the meantime, this is really quite a nice interim step. And BNY Mellon sponsored this for us, showing their belief in our company and our prospects. Their head of this group basically said they're pleased to work with ONWARD on this important step to expand our presence in the US market. So we've done a lot, but also a lot is upcoming, a lot of catalysts, a lot of milestones. Separated this into tracks for each of our technology platforms. Here in Impulse Red, which is ARC-EX, you can see we already have FDA approval to sell it in the US to clinics. We already announced our first commercial sale. More than that, in fact. Upcoming is home use authorization, CE mark, and first commercial sale outside the US. With our implanted device, ARC-IM, we announced first participant enrollment in a study for Parkinson's disease. Much is coming, an interim results publication in a top-tier journal, IDE approval so we can start our global pivotal study, our phase 3, first participant enrollment in that study, and then also first human use of the ARC-IM platform for urinary incontinence, so underactive bladder, hoping to obviate the need for people with SCI to insert a catheter each time they have to urinate. And then the last row here in gray, ARC-BCI, we announced implants for upper extremity and lower extremity movement, more to come, but also first implant in a grant-funded study to see if BCI can help people with stroke restore movement. So very busy. We're quite pleased to be a commercial stage company, but you can see we're not done. There's a lot of work to do. We are being very focused with our capital. Our focus is on launching ARC-EX, expanding market access for ARC-EX, and then getting ARC-IM through its pivotal study and on the market generating revenue. In the meantime, much in our pipeline is advancing with the benefit of grant funding from the Christopher Reeve Foundation. Thank you for staging this event. Also, the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research, the U.S. Department of Defense, and the European Innovation Council. So with that, thank you very kindly for your attention. Very pleased to take your questions. If you want to engage one-on-one, you can reach me at dave.marver@onward.com, onwd.com, or follow us on social media. LinkedIn is very active. It's ONWD, Onward Empowered. Thank you so much.